Let me see. Where?
Just saying, if you want to come to my room, you could, because it's so toasty in there. I had the heater on.
God, is it? But your room's so pretty and beautiful. Where mine is so mathy and not.
Oh my gosh, equations.
Yep.
I had to teach myself math in high school because I couldn't get it. So I
Yeah.
stayed up till like 2 a.m. every day teaching myself. And then I started acing my tests.
Where I cried at a table with my mother diagramming sentences. I don't understand what an adverb
That's
is.
funny.
Yep, I vividly remember crying because like not knowing. No, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Why do you write the thing down like this? Do y'all diagram sentences? At
well,
all?
I'm only making them do like diagram for poetry.
Okay, so not.
So I'm not like, no, I don't care for.
And some of these like classically trained kids like diagram things that I've never even heard of. Like parts of the speech, I was like, what is that?
Oh,
I don't even know what that is. It's so funny.
Yeah, so I did finish reading chapter
Did you?
1.
Did you?
Mhm.
How far have you gotten?
To page 49.
Has it started? Oh, okay, so just chapter 1.
Yeah.
Okay. Where I don't want to spoil any of it. It just this chapter 1 is talking about basically how to get underprivileged kids to succeed, like what they need, the characteristics, right? That the kids need to succeed, which I feel like here we don't have underprivileged kids.
Yeah, that's true. I think I'm more experienced at like Harmony, where I said there are risk kids. And,
Oh yeah,
whoa.
for sure. The further you get into the book, the more it'll start talking about the deficiencies higher, you know, like rich kids. I think they actually call it rich kids. Rich kids have versus kids with diversity and hardship, because it starts talking about how kids go to college that come from wealthy backgrounds, they didn't face any adversity, and they come and they fail. Like they might get through the first year, but then the second year it's just too hard. I can't do it because they've never had to do anything hard in their life.
Yeah.
Or kids at Harmony deal with things that are hard every day. And so they learn gradually over time how to face it so they can push through. Where our kids here, I feel like most of them don't have any, like their hardest thing is, you know, what kind of snack am I going to choose after lunch? Where some of those Harmony kids probably are like, am I going to get lunch on Saturday? Like, how am I going to make it work? So I like how he comes first full circle, and it's like they have grit, they have all of those characteristics that it takes to be a good student. Just because, who do you have? You have junior high kids, like kids like me at Gully, just get it, and they're always gonna get it because they're smart kids. But then you can have kids that, you know,
well, like Lanning before he left.
They're what?
Like Lanning before
Yes,
he
like
left.
Lanning. Where, I mean, he's a very privileged kid. I mean, they come from lots and lots of money. But, you know, well, he's faced adversity and stuff. I feel like he might have a leg up on kids like Mia because he knows how to push through and persevere, where she's just, it's just been easy. But I feel like that, was school easy for you for the most part?
Growing up?
Uh-huh.
Yes and no. I would say I had more hardship at home than in school was like a safe haven. So like we would I always wanted to excel because I wanted to be better than, you know, what I was seeing. And so that's what I think. So when we have like, you know, a hardship that we're seeing daily, like kids that you were talking about, for instance, or I don't know, kids that see hardship more daily, they want to succeed more because they have more of a drive, you know, like versus people that, you know, success is kind of, I don't want to say handed to them, but it's like it's already in their familial like territory. So it's like, you know, they don't have maybe as much of a drive unless something sparks them and they like feel the passion to do something.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
Did your parents go to college?
Both of them didn't graduate.
Okay, my dad got a GED. My mom didn't graduate, but my dad got a GED, because, and like going to college was a big deal. You know, it wasn't expected, but it was a big deal when I did it.
Yeah, we were the first in our family to get our degrees.
And then where most of these kids come from parents with bachelor's, if not master's degrees. Yeah, for the most part, you know, and so college is like this expected path that they have to go on for the most part.
In fact, when I was in high school, I was in a program, I don't know if you know of it, it's called AVID.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, and it helped you like determine where you want to go to college, help you succeed, it forced you to take pre-AP classes.
It did, I didn't realize it. Where'd you go to school?
I went to McKinney High, McKinney North, sorry, there's McKinney
was
High.
Was it really
McKinney
small
North.
then?
It was a little small.
Okay, it's not what it is today.
No.
McKinney's huge now.
Yeah, McKinney is huge. And then we had that influx when the hurricane came and a bunch of people like influxed there.
Did that? Okay, see, I was teaching then. I was teaching in Katy then, and we had, are you talking about Hurricane Katrina?
Yeah.
We had a ton of kids come to our school from Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like
and they were practically homeless. Like they were living in shelters in like the convention center, and they were coming to our school. Yeah.
There were some fights that broke out.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It was so weird just teaching a kid through like, you do not want to learn math and how to measure an angle. You just lost your home, your dog, everything you own. You're sleeping in a cot on the floor, and all you have is, you know, like this backpack is all you own. Please pay attention and focus, and let me teach you how to measure a 50-degree angle.
Yeah, they probably were just like clocked out.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, my whole life was destroyed. So
that's hard.
I read one of my grad school books was talking about a principal who every single year, twice a year, she rides the bus and shadows a student. So she picks one student she doesn't know very well in the school, and she pretends to be the student for the day. Does the whole thing. She sits at lunch so she can learn like what kids are actually going through. And so she can change the school. They're like, oh, going into the common room at the beginning of school is awkward and weird and horrible. Like it was awkward, weird, and horrible for me.
Yeah.
And I was the principal, like we gotta change this. Like we need to maybe segregate grades, because they have like all 1,200 students just meet in this big room.
And they had like their cliques.
Yeah, and you're like, this is awful. Like we need to, you know, but she would have never known.
And she didn't put herself in that.
Yeah, because most teachers are like, this is where you're supposed to go. And then when kids try to escape from the bathroom because they're scared and awkward and don't know what to do, you just yell at them. Hey, Coach.
I forgot. Sorry.
That's okay. You're forgiven. I thought your wife was going to come.
She was, but she's got allergies too, all over. My sinus infection's going on. I got through half of chapter 1.
Good job.
I'll be honest with you.
Good job. I read the Cliff Notes growing up in English.
I read both. I read the book and then
I watched the movie and read the Cliff Notes.
There's a movie?
Well, not on this book, but the books we read in English class there were. You know, like where the Redford Road, I was like, I bet I can get a grade if I watch this movie. Don't ask me what color Susie's hat was, because it probably doesn't depict it right.
The Cliff Notes, yeah.
When you make tests, can you look up like questions that aren't in Cliff Notes? Is that something you Google?
I get stuff from Quizlet now.
Do you?
So, yeah, I don't get anything from SparkNotes. I just read that for myself to help me. So.
Right.
I got to the part where it's talking about they were just comparing schools in California, the kids in California, the pediatrician, and then the principal in Fender.
Yes, the high school.
Fender. I looked at that. I thought, wow.
He's a California boy.
I lived in California for a year and a half.
Did you? I lived in California for like 3 years. I went to kindergarten there.
I lived there 11. That's too many.
Vacaville.
Born there. So, but the thing about it was, it just there was parts of the town you didn't go to.
Oh, yeah. There's parts of Waco I don't go to.
There's parts of the town where I went to college, Wichita Falls. Wichita Falls, it was number 2 in the nation. Number 2 in Texas as far as murder ratio.
Wichita Falls, Texas?
Really?
Oh yeah, I used to live there too.
It seems like such a quaint.
No, there's a part of town you don't want to go to.
Wow, yikes.
Okay.
It's
I've
pretty,
only been downtown. The little square.
yeah, it's a little square. The thing that I was looking at right there is where they were talking about some of the stuff, and I thought, oh my gosh, just going back to my old education days. I was sitting there going, I think I discussed this in class.
Uh-huh.
It's showing my age. But anyway, it was talking about those projects, and I thought, I don't know what you do for those kids.
2012.
How do you get? Because it's several life cycles that they go through.
To get
One right
poverty.
after, it's just like, that's the norm for them.
Mm-hmm.
So education has become the same way for them.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sure you guys heard too. Well, my mom was never good at math either,
All the time.
all the time.
It's like an
And you want to
excuse
ask,
not to do
well,
it.
what about her mom? Was her mom good at math either? You want to almost do the research to find out. But I think it's, so far what I have found from here is the idea if you got an educator and you got a pediatrician,
Mhm.
a doctor,
Mhm.
and they're looking at it from dealing with trauma, dealing with, here's a person, and here's the environment of the person. You got one that's dealing with the person, the physical part, and the other one as administrator, I gotta deal with all the other external forces.
Mhm.
So who's left out in this process? The internal kid.
Right.
That's why psychiatrists are making so much money now.
Mhm.
Anyway, I was looking at that, I was reading that, and I was like, oh my goodness.
And how much?
It goes back to, because we, in California, you didn't go down to parts of town. There's parts of town you didn't get close to.
But someone had to. Some
I
teacher
didn't.
had, you know what I mean?
I
Like,
know,
someone
and
has
that's,
to.
there's a movie called Stand and Deliver.
Adrian.
It's got,
Mr. Barstow?
yes,
When can we talk about that work?
sure, I'll be there in a few minutes, okay?
Okay, I think.
Give me patience.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I forgot.
No, you're fine, I figured you forgot.
Okay, that's my bad.
Okay, we'll get it Monday if we don't, get it today.
Wait, it's in
He looks so much more grown up without all his fluffy hair.
I know, he's like, you were talking about a while ago that they may not be here next year.
Oh, really? What, traveling for missionary work?
No,
Oh, go to public school?
I don't think so. I'm
Yeah.
gonna say, what in the world?
Yeah.
I need to have a head examined. I came from there, I know what's going on.
But the further we get into the book, it'll start turning those life experiences that these kids can have in poverty
I know.
into like a better situation. Like those kids have grit. Those kids have the ability to,
Yeah.
you know, if you can get them there, they can totally overcome and learn anything because they've been through the worst of the worst when they were 5 years old.
We discussed, again, I'm going back, I remember this study back in my education classes, but I remember, one of the things I always remember thinking was, even if you took the kid out of the home
That's
and put them
still
in
trauma.
that environment that's conducive to their learning, they still revert back to the old ways because of what Ms. Durham said in there a couple of times in the Bible study, is because our sin nature.
Oh, yeah.
So then how in the world as educators in the public school, forget about us being this private school,
Mm-hmm.
in the public school, how do you get that, how do you beat that sin out of that kid? Because that's what you really have to do before you can even make progress.
Where it
So
comes into
it's-
character education sometimes I think in schools that have such, you know, that are such hardship, character education needs to come first before
Learn this.
Learning education.
learning education. Like we need to teach these kids from a young age what self-control and kindness and compassion and discipline and self-control, because without all those character things, can they learn math and English?
Let me tell you a little story, and I'm getting away from the book, sorry.
You're good.
My two little Pekingese girls,
Dogs.
yeah, my little dogs, have got this nature about them. We've never had them with pairs. This is our third pair of Pekingese. But this first pair, we've had females and from the same litter.
Do you always get two?
It always works out that
Okay.
way. We go for one. Oh, we gotta have the other one. Okay. Okay, Mama, let's go again. Susan was crying one time when we left with Matthews. I said, okay, zoom, we go back and got that one. The first pair, she found one she loved, and then all of a sudden I looked up and there's this one over here, and he walks up and licks me, and I wanted that one. So it's like, she's not just the only one guilty.
Uh-huh.
But they have got this nature now that every now and then one of them has set the hierarchy order.
Okay.
I am the alpha in the group, okay? And so they start a fight. I mean, it's a knockdown drag on, and the one that doesn't is not the alpha. She don't like it. It's like too much. Stop. And I'm using that. I'm using this example because here's what these are kind of like kids.
Uh-huh.
So
Practice.
I have had to try different things to break them up.
Mm-hmm.
So I just got fed up with it the other day, and I took the extreme measure, and I'm afraid sometimes we have to do this with kids.
Uh-huh.
And I put the harness on the little one, because she's the one that can't handle being the pecking order. I'm at the bottom of the pecking order here.
Uh-huh.
I put the harness on her, and I locked her up in a room in a gate where she can see.
Uh-huh.
Right. I ain't letting you out. She stays there for a while.
Uh-huh.
And I let her come out, and she starts it. She done. Susan told me a while ago. She looked at her, and started it a while ago. And she looked at her, and she says, my wife looked at little girl, Mercy and goes, I will lock you up just like Daddy did. She stopped, walked over to the bed, and laid down. I'm almost to the point that sometimes we're going to do that with our kids. We're going to have to find some way harshly, pull them out until train them. Until with lots of loving care, they finally figure out that we're really here to make them better.
Yeah. All in the midst of working
But
with parents
extreme.
and community
there you
and
go.
all the other outside forces.
Because
that
all the
influence
other
them.
forces acting on it, because I don't think priorities wise, I know our parents want their kids to learn and be successful,
Oh, yeah.
but I'm wondering if they want it to the point of, is it self-gratification for the parent to know that I did this for my kid? Or is it from the point is, this is what's best for them?
And that's what, it'll start talking about how kids that come from middle-class rich families do it for them. They get life handed for them, problems get fixed, and then when they get to sophomore, junior year of college, they can't hack it, they've never overcome a problem, they've never pushed through, so they quit.
Mm-hmm.
Where Johnny from the hood knows adversity.
Right.
If he gets into his sophomore year in college, you better believe he knows how to push through.
He's a survivor.
He's gonna do it.
He's a survivor.
It doesn't matter, he's gonna push through, he's gonna find a way, because he's been taught that somewhere along the way, whether it's family or education or school, he's been taught how to overcome and
But
how to push
he
through.
told a story about a young man at Fender,
Mhm.
the boy that got killed. He was, they
The
did
shooting.
no, where he got beat and kicked at
Oh,
Fender.
yes.
Okay, anyway, that's what brought the federal government in. That's
Uh-huh.
when Eric Holder and all that brought that money in. But it never alluded to the fact is,
Yeah.
was he just a bystander? I couldn't figure that part out. I was trying to read it. Was he just a bystander? Or was he a part of this problem? Or an innocent victim?
Right.
Or, because,
I'm trying to remember what
it was the very
subchapter
beginning of
it is.
chapter 1. They were talking about, and they hit him in the head with something, knocked him unconscious, and then they proceeded to kick him until he was totally, they deemed him dead.
Duran and.
Yeah, Duran.
Yeah, Duran.
And I'm going,
Oh.
what
yeah.
did he do? What did he do?
It just said he waded into the fight.
Exactly.
Right, I mean, but yeah,
So, but the thing I noticed was I could never find, did he do something? Why was he there? Or is he just the innocent that get caught in his crossfires? And you got kids that they really wanna learn, but they're in a crossfire of an environment and all they can do is survive. I mean, really, some of my best friends in California, I don't even keep contact with them at all. I don't even remember who they are. But I remember them coming from rough neighborhoods, and I thought to myself, because in my 6th grade year, we moved out to California. I was gonna be junior high the next year. The junior high was in Torrance, Torrance Junior High. You are guaranteed that 1 out of 4 kids were beat up.
Could you imagine going to a school where
I didn't know that.
one out
I'm glad I didn't know that back then. In California, we would go to school, and then after school was out, we would stay on the playground and have play day. We would be there till about 5 o'clock.
Until your parents got out of work.
My mom worked like around the corner from where our house was. It's not a big deal. My dad was disabled and he stayed at home. So it was just babysitting time for us. But that's where I survived, on that playground, because, ready for this? 15-foot high fences all the way around the school.
Really?
15-foot high fences.
Wow.
So imagine what these kids have. I've said for a long time, you're gonna have to put a fence around schools.
That's sad.
That's sad. You know what that means, don't you? We have to cage and protect our kids. Because as a parent, you send them out in the world and something happens to them, you go, I couldn't protect them. It's scary when you start thinking about trying to make them successful. I deviated away from the book, I'm sorry, because I read some of the studies in there and looked at some of the guys that were talking about, and I was looking at that and I was saying, there's a lot of research. I can make that, I can find research that finds this table is bad for my health. I can find research that says this table will make me grow taller. I can find research that makes this table a place where money will show up at any minute now. But the reality is, I can make anything fit anything. As a math teacher, I can take any graph, make it look like you're wonderful, successful,
Or terrible.
Exactly. But I think the thing about it is with our kids, they want to learn. I really believe that.
I think, yes.
I really think they want to learn. But what? That's the problem.
What and how?
What?
Yeah, how?
Do I want to do it by easy means or the hard way? Do I do things the easy way or the hard way? Do I find, shortcuts in life that get me where I want? Then when I find it, it's like the 22-year-old who's been successful and he has a brand new car, brand new home and everything else, got a brand new job and everything else. What's he got to look forward to? What's he going to do? What was your goal to begin with? Well, that's your goal. Okay, that's fleeting. That'd all be taken away in a tornado.
Right.
So what do you have left over? Literally strip them down and find out what you got. Who are you? What you are.
Right.
I have one for every bell, for every class. It's always said 2 minutes before the bell.
Oh.
That's so
And
funny.
it's different things, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean, I interrupted y'all's discussion in talking about
No,
this.
you're
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
But I do, I think like at the end of the day, when you lose everything, all you have left is your character and who you are,
Exactly. Like when you
That's
strip
the only
down.
thing that
when you-
matters
Yeah,
is
and these kids, like you said,
your
these
morality.
poor kids that had to fight their way out. I didn't know this, and I just tell you up front, I found out later on in life that I was a poor kid. I didn't know it.
That's usually how it works.
We didn't have money,
Mm-hmm.
and that's still how we got by,
Right.
but we survived. And, my son to this day thinks, Dad, y'all don't have any money. So what do you mean? I said, you're a teacher, you don't have money.
got enough
That's
to
true.
eat.
That's true. We're
Get
satisfied.
myself around.
We're satisfied. I don't think kids are ever satisfied. You know, that's the problem. They got too many things handed to them, like you said a while ago, that struggle is nothing.
Well, until you know what it takes to get what they truly want, then they don't, you know, as a kid, I just want it because I want it, and I can't see how you get there to get it.
Mm-hmm.
I just know I say I want that.
My wife found me when I started teaching. My wife found me an analogy. And I like working with lower level kids,
Yeah.
because I like getting them up.
Mm-hmm.
I like working with high level kids because I can get up there with them.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter with me. But my wife found a story that was an interesting story, and it goes, and I'm gonna share this because I got kids in the room. This grandfather and his grandson were walking down the road one day, and they found a chrysalis. And the little boy goes, Dad, can we take it home? He says, Granddad, can we take it home? Yeah, we can take it home. So they go home, they got a jar. They'll put this chrysalis inside, and left it, poked holes in the lid, left it. And all of a sudden it started wiggling and moving around and wiggling around. And the little grandson looked at it and he says, Dad, Granddad, it can't get out, it can't get out, it can't get out. It's hurting. Granddad, let's take it out. Let's take it out. So we can't take it out. Why? Okay, it needs to wiggle out. No, let's take it out. So Granddad took it out, put it on the table, gently took his pocket knife out and cut a nice little line, opened up the chrysalis, laid it down there. This beautiful butterfly, little grandson looked at him and says, oh. Little butterfly came out, beautiful wings, opened up like that, flopped around 2 or 3 times, and then rolled over and died.
Too
Well,
soon.
no, because it didn't go through the struggles. That's the only way it became a beautiful butterfly, because it went through the struggles. And our kids don't know struggles. Some of them do. Some of them do.
I mean, it's the same thing with childbirth. Like, there's different
Yes.
things. If
Oh
a
my
baby
gosh.
is cut out versus when it's born naturally, like, there's things that happen naturally that the baby's supposed to struggle through and helps
Exactly.
them when they're actually born.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's harder on every party involved,
Yeah.
Mhm.
it is better for their lungs, for all sorts of things. But yeah, you think about, it makes you appreciative of your childhood more, that you
Yeah, I mean,
struggled, because,
You know, because I go back and I look at all the things I did, and I thought, wow, that's what defined me.
Mhm, definitely, I'd rather
Yeah.
struggle as a 13-year-old than a 43-year-old.
Yeah.
And we have some 43-year-olds that are really struggling with it.
And their struggles are bigger and harder and uglier
Yeah.
than the 13-year-old struggle.
So I pose a question back to you, okay? You have, a man walks in with a magic wand. What year of your life would you like to go back to?
To relive the same way.
No, just relive. To start from. You go and say, you can go back and start at any day in your life. When would you go back? I'd like to know.
Is that a tricky question?
No, I would like to know, what would you, that's my question at the end of the day. Where would you like to go back and start from? Where would you like to go back?
I go back to when my kids were babies. Start from there again.
Where would you go back?
Probably high school.
What about you?
That question was asked to me one time, and I said, well, knowing what I know now, I'd like to go back to where I was 14. And I thought to myself, if I know right now what I knew, if I know now what I could use as a 14-year-old, I could have avoided a lot of problems that made me who I am. So I don't want to go back.
Right, yeah.
Right,
you
yeah,
know that.
I was
That's
just
what-
saying,
that
that's a
would
trick
be
question.
that would be my first thought. I don't want to go back.
Yeah.
I just wanna go back and
But you see your
see
little
my
kid.
babies as little and know how fast it's gonna go.
Oh, no, I know what my wife
You know
would
what
do.
I mean?
My wife would go
I'd go
back since
back
when Matthew was little. Yeah,
And
see
I
that.
do, and I treasure every more moment 110 times more because you know it just goes so
Yeah.
Well, see, one of the outstanding moments that broke my wife's heart, and always broke my heart, was I'd go out in the backyard and mow. And when my son was like 9 months or 1 year old, he would plastered on that window, that sliding glass window, his hands like this. Mow, Daddy, mow, Daddy, and it would break Susan's heart.
Aww.
So she would, your son wants you, so I'm pushing the lawnmower and carrying a 9-month-old or a 1-year-old. Just carrying it. And he's just going,
Cute.
This is what I wanted.
This is what I wanted. And that made him happy. Yeah, I didn't spoil him. I just met his needs when he needed it. And
if your need is needing to
and
go
these
hell,
kids,
then I can do it.
these kids we teach, they have different needs at different times. So one day it might be one need, and next tomorrow it may be totally different.
But at the end of the day, their needs aren't being met ever, all the way across the board. You know,
Yeah, somebody's filling it in somehow.
somehow, some ways.
Hopefully.
You're just poking a sinking ship, filling it up as you can, or stopping it where you can, and then other holes and getting out
I like
over
that
there.
one. Poking the secret.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
No, hey, sorry.
No, you're good.
I forgot.
You're good.
Enjoy this video.
Yeah. Chapter 2, 2 weeks.
We're doing chapter 2.
Chapter 2, 2 weeks.
Well, I gotta get caught up with chapter 1.
There you go.
I totally forgot. I went to eat lunch with my wife.
No, you're fine. How's Bria doing?
Terrible.
Is she?
I haven't looked to see if she turned her homework in. I think she turned her homework in.
But she's doing it.
But
She's just doing it.
Kevin didn't turn his homework in.
No.
So, me and you are gonna have to upset you.
Oh well.
I told him, I said, Gavin's gonna be late.
They'll learn.
Yeah, I know.
They'll
So
learn.
I'm gonna tell him, I said, you have to come up there and work with, they're gonna have to come in and work with me, I guess. But every time she's walked in a test, she's taken 2 tests. Every time she walks, she says, I'm gonna fail this test. That's the first thing she comes out of her mouth. First thing.
One thing she lacks is confidence. But
Well, we did a lot of algebra. I'm interested to see, we did a lot of algebra on homework last night, finding angles
yeah,
and the triangle stuff.
yeah,
Let's see how much algebra she did and how much somebody else did.
right.
So,
Keep at it.